Let's talk about Western Conference Finals Game 1. 114-88 is the final score. OKC in the second half. Absolute masterclass. Just on both sides of the ball. Mostly defensively, but you know that defense is really like that. But mostly defensively, we got a lot to get to today, but before I do that, I want to remind you that my brand, Enjoy Basketball, just had this drop earlier today. We're calling it the Hometown Pride Capsule. So if you're a Bulls fan, a Knicks fan, you're in the conference finals, Lakers fan or a Raptors fan, this one is for you. We've been working with the NBA/Fanatics for 2 years to get this design going because I can't just put my company name with a Bulls logo. They're going to sue the hell out of me. So we had to get the license in and get everything going. And the link is in the description if you are interested. This has been a super dope drop so far. A lot of these things are close to selling out. So if you are interested, hit the link in the description. Shout out to everybody that's already copped. Shout out to the people that want to cop but aren't able to. I still got love for you and respect you. And shout out to the people that's a fan of the other 26 teams hitting me up saying, when we go get a Celtics one, when we go get a Rockets one, and maybe, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. But we got these 4. All right, let's talk about this basketball because in the first half, Julius Randle was playing with so much grit and so much joy. He was one of my biggest X factors going into the series because that level of physicality that he can bring on a night-to-night basis could be pretty detrimental to the OKC Thunder, in my personal opinion. And in his first half, it wasn't really about his own physicality. I felt like for every bad play he had, when it ended up being a few, because you know he always leave his feet to throw a pass, he backed it up with the very next possession or 2 possessions in a row doing something amazing. He hit the one like 29, 30-foot three-pointer, and they show him, and he's just grinning ear to ear. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is an insane version of Julius Randle because just a year ago, 2 years ago, he hit a shot in his home arena, and the fans are going crazy. He said he wasn't rocking with the fans. He wasn't playing with that joy. Eventually, they shut the faucet off, though. In the second half, he wasn't very effective. But in the first half, he's been able to do this the entire postseason run so far, just keep the team afloat. Anthony Edwards hasn't had a great first half so far, but I remember in that game they closed out versus the Warriors, Julius Randle had like 19 points in the first half, and then Anthony Edwards turned up in the third, and then the series was over. So he's been done a good job of just laying the foundation. Hey, we're okay. Everything is cool. We're going to let Ant-Man take over in that second half. Unfortunately for him and unfortunately for the Wolves, that takeover never came for Anthony Edwards. They really made him think today, which I thought was the biggest thing OKC can do. And I don't think he did a bad job, don't get me wrong. I thought Anthony Edwards, when they did run him in the pick and roll, he generated open looks. I thought he generated a decent amount of open looks. The unfortunate part is some of those open looks are the exact ones OKC wants to give up. And some of those open looks ended up ending in nothing. One of the most interesting things about this is, I was really hell-bent thinking about the size of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I thought about when they played against the Lakers, and one of the biggest advantages they had in that Lakers series was how big they were and how much they killed the offensive glass. And can they do that against OKC, who tends to either run one singular big and occasionally just run no bigs at all, which they did a lot today. And that size was not felt at all today. Rudy Gobert was basically unplayable, right? Bad hands, stone hands, and they disrespected that man so much that they said, hey, we don't even want to go to our third big. We don't want to bring in Jay Will, who did a pretty damn good job guarding Nikola Jokic in his spot minutes last series. We're going to bring in Kenrich Williams. Do something, Rudy. Make us regret going small against you. And they weren't able to do that whatsoever. I think they played right into the Thunder's hands in this game. And Minnesota lost game number 1 last series, so this series is far from over, and they're going to have to go to the drawing board to try to figure out exactly what the hell they want to do next. But the OKC Thunder read this one lineup that I'm like, oh, no. They really just playing in y'all face. It was Caruso, Kaysen, Shea, Dub, and Dort. We're going to run 4 guards and one 3-man really in J-Dub, because J-Dub is like 6'5", if we being honest. They ran that small-ass lineup, and they outscored the opposed team in this 3-minute stretch by like 5 points. It wasn't that crazy, but it was crazy at the same time. They didn't respect the other team's size, because Minnesota didn't give it an opportunity to benefit off that. Because we know Rudy Gobert is not going to do that. I mean, his 2020 game against the Lakers is absolutely nuts. He's probably not doing that again. Maybe he does. But the one place he could become effective there, or Julius Randle or Naz Reid, is the offensive glass. And they didn't get to that glass at all. They ended up with 12 offensive boards, but I promise you it didn't feel like that at all. And when you think about how small the OKC Thunder went in a lot of this game, that 12 could have been 20, right? A lot of that was just playing. It felt like they were playing mental games night in, night out. I thought that they settled a lot in this game. And it's easy for me to say that today because, well, the OKC Thunder, that's what their defense does. When we talk about them being a legendary defense, people are just pulling numbers out their ass. This is what this team does. And we talk about in game number 7 versus the Denver Nuggets, how ridiculous it was. And I mentioned how that could have been a turning point for them to be able to just go on a run. And we're talking about game one of a West Conference final. Anything can happen. That's kind of how I feel. They shot 53s before the starters got pulled. And I'm speculating right here. When Anthony Edwards was walking off the court for the final time, he looked up at the Jumbotron. He said, damn. And I wonder if that damn was to the fact that his team shot 53s today and only hit 15 of them. It's nuts. And I think, you know, if you look at last series and we talk about beating OKC, because that's what you have to do. You have to beat OKC. It is rare that they're going to beat themselves. I got a few of these in today's video. The only time is like game number one, right? Game number one, Chet misses the free throws, the bad timeout, the bad foul up three, whatever. But for the most part, in order to beat the Thunder, you have to take advantage of certain things. And I thought that early in this game, they came mentally, again, I'm speculating right here. Mentally, they were prepared to not get an adequate whistle. So because of that, they settled a ton. And we stopped seeing Julius Randle get post touches. We stopped seeing Anthony Edwards try to get downhill. And they settled. The OKC Thunder are going to be aggressive. You need to make the OKC Thunder foul the hell out of you. Think about the games that Denver won last series. Those were the games where they got to the line 30-something times. Because they weren't ready to just settle just because they didn't get a good whistle to start the first 6 minutes of the game. Yeah, we're bigger, we're stronger, we want to get downhill and force you to foul us. Guess what? Caruso is going to foul. He gonna foul 100 times. He might get called for 5 of them, but you have to put him in position to foul 100 times so he can get that 5. And I thought that the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't do that. And that was one of the things that that Coach Finch, when they mic'd them up, was talking about. We have to continue to be aggressive. It's so easy said than done, but that's one place where they can really hang their hat. We saw Anthony Edwards be able to flip that switch in that Lakers series where he had the game, he shot like, was it 21 free throws? We saw him get to the basket, and I mean, it's going to be tough on your body for sure. You saw that with Donovan Mitchell in the postseason. But at the end of the day, you getting Dub in foul trouble, you getting Caruso in foul trouble, you getting Hart or Chet or somebody in foul trouble is ultimately just going to be beneficial to you. And I felt like they didn't do that at all today. And I'm sure that's going to be close and high on their priority list. Guess what? Chris Finch also said, this is a team that's going to struggle in the half court. Today wasn't necessarily the day for that. But you can't turn the ball over. You can't. They had 17 of them today. This team wants you to turn the ball over so they can turn it into easy points. Now, after their 17 turnovers, it only turned to 12 fast break points, but I guess it could be worse with 17 turnovers. But on the flip side of that, y'all didn't generate a single fast break point. Not one. See, people want to point to some exterior factors with some of these games, but sometimes it really is in the numbers. Sometimes it really is in the game. There's no reason in my mind a team should ever end a game with 0 fast break points. That happened today. They had 20 points in the paint. Unacceptable. See, these are the things that if you look at game number one, you're like, okay, it's just game number one. We can easily fix that because we've been able to do it the last 2 series. OKC's defense was ridiculous in the fourth quarter. Chet Holmgren, the first 6-minute stretch of Chet Holmgren is maybe the best stretch Chet Holmgren has had in this postseason so far. Blocks, dunks and lobs. He was absolutely everywhere. And I think that game one is always trying to figure out who can play and who can't. In the last series, Isaiah Joe could not play. They put him on the court for shooting. He shot 0 for 4. He shot a shot so damn bad that I subbed him out. I ain't got no responsibility to be able to do that. Today, hit some shots, play some good defense. Guess what? I bet we'll see some more Isaiah Joe throughout this series, right? And that's kind of what this is. Kenrich Williams was great. Kenny Hustle hit some 2 big threes. I bet we'll see more of him this series, right? And on the flip side of things, you think about Minnesota. My guy. Rudy Gobert was awful. The only thing that we saw him be able to do is to deter Shea maybe once, maybe twice in that first half from the rim. That's kind of it. And I keep looking back and be like, Donte DiVincenzo shooting like 28 to 30% from 3 in this postseason run. That's going to have to flip, right? He's too good of a shooter for him to go this entire run only shooting 30%. It ain't for the lack of trying, damn it. He took 12 threes today. He took 12 of them things. He was letting them fly. Couldn't hit him. Naz Reid, scored his first point in the fourth quarter. So there are like some silver lining things if you are the Minnesota Timberwolves, but you don't really have a ton of time with this Thunders team, in my opinion. I don't think you do. I kind of got away from X because everybody's having the same conversation. It's not necessarily about the basketball. It's about the whistles and all. And here's my personal take on it. And this will maybe be the last time I talk about this. Somebody said to me on Twitter, this isn't basketball. Shout out to Dwayne. I'll give you a shout out, Dwayne. This isn't basketball. 14 free throws from Shai is insane. I respond to that and said, I wholeheartedly disagree. And this is where my head is at. Shai, by all the statistics and the eye test, is the number one driver in the NBA. He just is. Look at the numbers, look at the frequency, look at the finishing, 58%. When he's driving, he's doing it. I forget the amount of times per game. It's head and shoulders above everybody. I believe that in 85%, I'm making up this number, but I'm just, on 85 to 90% of his drives that a whistle does get called, he's actually getting fouled. But then we also got that 15 to 10% where he's not getting fouled and he's getting the call because he's either embellishing, he's playing for the call, or he's just a superstar and he gets that whistle. So personally, it's not a problem to me if 85% of the time he's driving to the basket, he's actually getting the foul. Some of the fouls that Jaden McDaniels had in that second half legitimately were stupid fouls. The one that he fouled out on, you have 5 fouls. You know who you're guarding. Why is your hand grabbing his shooting hand on a drive? They showed the first angle, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit ticky-tack, ain't it? Then they showed the up top angle. He grabbed the whole arm. Yes, that's a foul. Does Shai embellish? Yes. Yes. But for me personally, I'm talking about me as a ball watcher. It has never got to the point where it has prevented me from liking the game of basketball, some people are saying. And this is my last analogy on it, and I won't bring it up again unless it becomes something I think it's worth talking about again. I think the problem in it all is the rate of it, right? If I'm Shai in this situation. If I drive to the basket, making up numbers just to make it even, 100 times, and in that 100 times, I get 20 whistles. And then you drive to the basket 20 times and you get 4 whistles. Guess what? The frequency of those whistles are exactly the same. But because I do it 5 times more than you, of course, it looks like my whistle is better. I'm more aggressive than you are, right? And when I say that these dudes settled and they took 53 pointers, yeah, they're not going to have a great whistle when you're shooting 53 pointers out of 80. That's my personal take on it. I'm completely open to people disagreeing with that. At the end of the day, we're all watching basketball. Everybody's going to view it differently. So I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but from my POV, I'm going to rewatch the fouls for sure. But it was only one. It was one in the first half that I don't know where my book is at. It's probably downstairs. One of the fouls that Jaden McDaniels had when Shai was on the left elbow, he did a spin, he kicked his leg out, he hit an and one. That was one of the ones in my notes. I'm like, oh, that's questionable. And even when they showed the different replays, I'm like, I just don't see a foul there. So I'm not saying that he doesn't embellish. I'm not saying that he doesn't get a good whistle. I'm not saying that he doesn't jump into players to get the whistle. I'm saying it's not a problem to me. Where have y'all been? This has been the thing across basketball for a very long time. Whether it be the Hardens, whether it be the Bees, whether it be the Pauls, whether it be the DeRozans, whether it be the Cobes, whether it be the Wades, we could go throughout every generation. That's just the way it is. I don't think if anything, it's the way it's officiated versus the player. Hey man, I'm 0-5 right now. Damn, I got to get myself going. You know the best way to get yourself going? There's only 2 ways: is getting a layup or hitting the free throw line. And Shai started off this game not being able to hit a shot. Let me get to the line. So that's my take on it all. And that might be the last time I ever talk about it because I think it eliminates the actual basketball talk. Because I promise you, OKC didn't win because Shai got to the free throw line tonight. That's just my take. That's my take.